Hi! Today is the Madeline and,
Wayne show.
well, obviously, Doug and Sandy are both not here today, and it's just us. So you're just going to get the wonderful us today for the show. So we just had a really great, informative resident council meeting, and I hope you guys got all your questions answered during the meeting. But of course, if you have any more questions, please go ahead, and if you have any COVID questions, to make sure to reach out to Randy and ask him those questions if you have any. So a little update from me from Activity Piece. We are having a holiday boutique. We're going to have it on Thursday the 10th, and it's going to be from 9 to 1 p.m. And if any of you guys noticed yet, there is a kiosk at Concierge in RL Residential Living that you can use. Go ahead, all you got to do is type in your name and you can sign up activities right there and then next to Concierge. So don't forget to look at that. And that's it from Activity. Wayne?
So, I'm all on?
Yeah.
All right. Hi, everybody. I've been talking about ego states for the last couple of weeks. And the first couple of weeks, I talked about the child ego states. That's the first to develop, and that's reminiscent of your feelings and experience from your childhood. And then the next 2 weeks, I talked about the parent ego state. That's the second one to develop, and that's reminiscent of the do's and don'ts that you learned when you were growing up. And that became your rule book, the way you should live your life. And then people also, your authority figures gave you expectations of what you should become and what you should do. And all that put together was your life script. Well, today what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about the adult, the last ego state to develop. And the good news is there's only one adult ego state. I'm not going to break into two parts like I did the others. So we just have the adult ego state. And this is the part of you that is autonomous to the here and now. This is the part of you that thinks. It's the only ego state that thinks. The other two respond by things they've learned in the past. This one, the adult ego state, is the one that can gather facts and figures, can separate reality from fantasy, can put together plans, can make contacts, make contracts and agreements. So this is the part of you that really thinks and can use all these experiences and knowledge that you've gained over the years to put together these plans and do these items. So that is the adult ego state. Now you probably think, wow, I should always be in the adult ego state. And no, that's not true, because there's positives and negatives about ego states. So let's take a look at the adult ego state as far as what is the goal. And the goal of the adult ego state is to be competent. So if you're in a committee meeting, being competent is a good thing. So adult ego state is a good thing to be in. But sometimes in a committee meeting, you might have stress levels going up. You're talking about something that really is let's say, a really tough subject for people to discuss, and maybe somebody goes into their child and gives a joke and breaks the tension. That might happen. Or maybe your committee did something and you really get ripped apart by the people that experienced it because they said, wow, that was a pretty terrible job. And maybe the team leader needs to go into their nurturing parent and give some positive reinforcements to the group that, hey, we can do better next time. So there is a time and place for all the ego states. Now, the negative about being in the adult ego state is you can appear that you lacked feelings or empathy with other people. I'll give you an example. Suppose you go to a carnival and you get a little goldfish for your kids, your grandkids, and you give it to your child, and they just love this goldfish. They feed it every day and they look at it in the bowl. And of course, one day they come down, the little goldfish is belly up. And they come running to you and go, oh, my goldfish died. And you go, well, it only costs 99 cents. Well, that might be a really adult statement, but that sure doesn't help your kids. So we need to be able to empathize. Or another thing, you could be at a party and everybody's having a great time, dancing, telling jokes, doing all that stuff. And you want to stay in your adult and you want to talk about maybe how you solve the quadratic equation. Well, I don't think most people would find you very interesting at that party. So there's a time and place for every ego state. Now, I also said there's a clue cluster. So if you want to know the person's in the adult ego state, look at the body language. It would be a kind of relaxed, straight, tight body language. The expressions, that would be a person that uses the who, what, when, where, why, and how. They'd also say things like, what do you think? What's your opinion? And they would state an opinion as an opinion. So an adult would say, in my opinion, this is what we should do. The parent, especially the critical parent, would say, this is the way it should be done. State their opinion strictly as fact. And finally, the vocal tone would be a calm, relaxed. It can be somewhat deliberate because that is the thinking part of you. Now, I've covered all 3 ego states, and that's great information, but I've talked about this being transactional analysis. So over the next several weeks, I'm going to talk about how we use the ego states to talk to another person's ego states. We have 3 ego states, they have 3 ego states. And when we're talking to them, one of our ego states is addressing one of their ego states. Now, it doesn't always work that you get the ego state you're aimed at. So what I'll be talking about is the parallel transactions, cross transactions, and ulterior transactions. And after I get through all those, I'll talk about ways you can use your ego states and lines of communication to prevent some of those communication breakdowns. Now, next week, I will not be here, so there will be no Wayne Talk next week, but I'll be back the following week. So we'll pick it up with talking about lines of communication and how all these ego states work. And with that, I'll turn it back to Madeline.
Awesome. And that's it. Have a great day, everyone. See you later.
All right.